was very trustful. I was just raised that way. Adults don't lie. That was Stephen Stayner.
Oh my gosh. Every kid says that. Yeah, it's true.
I know. It's going to be a sad one, guys.
Womp womp. This is Jen.
This is Becky.
And this is Too Close to Home.
Welcome.
Welcome. I'm sorry to be Debbie Downers right after Jonestown. But this is a very interesting story, and I know of it. And Becky was so gracious to write a...
You're welcome.
I mean, I'm so stoked right now. Plus, because you're really good at storytelling, too.
I think you're better, but I'll take the compliment anyway.
I love how we both are like, you're better. No, you're better. Well, thanks.
I think mine more so like graze the top, and just yours are very in-depth and very well put together, like a book. And I'm over here just like People Magazine in it.
I did have PBS on one of them, and you were like, PBS? Really?
Yeah, like I'm just trying to keep up with you. I have to amp up my jokes so that I feel like we're even in this relationship, because at any time you could be like, you're out, we're dropping you, you're done.
I do that. I feel that whenever I do like those hip things, like that's cap. That's on God. I can see your soul come out of your body.
Yes. So today it's kind of a two-parter. So it's going to be the Stayner family. Part 1 is going to be Stephen Stayner. Part 2 is going to be Carrie Stayner. Very drastically different brothers. One had a very tragic story. The other...
Terrifying?
Terrifying.
Tragic?
There we go.
It's like a butterfly effect.
Yes.
The real life version. One begets the other.
Crazy this family experienced both of these within one immediate family.
And different sides of the spectrum, too.
Yes. So we're going to dive right in and start with Stephen Stayner. So my sources are Wikipedia, Kenneth Parnell. There's a Hulu series, Captive Audience, A Real American Horror Story. And I forget how many parts it is, but it covers Stephen and Carrie. And Stephen and Carrie's mom is in it. Their sister, childhood friends of them. Yeah, all first-person interviews.
I love those because I hate those ones where it's just like psychologists and stuff like, no.
No, this is the family telling you everything. And they go over a lot about the sitcom about Stephen when he was a kid. And
what do you think our family would do if we were either a murderer or a kidnapped victim when they come on IDTV?
Probably like about his mom did. She talked openly about some stuff, and some she told him, don't even ask. I already told you that's off limits and I'm not discussing it. Like, she was straight up.
She sounds like a G, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. Also, gossipnextdoor.com.
I love some hot goss.
And news.google.newspapers. And then there's a whole bunch of letters and numbers there. I'm not going to read those to you.
I'm not about that. Time is precious, okay?
I'll screenshot it and put it on our Facebook for you. You can type them all in and look it up. But I'm about to give you all the info. So you don't even need it.
This is the 411. We're totally giving it all.
And
by we, I mean Becky.
Yeah. I pilfered through all of the stuff and condensed it to the important stuff for you guys with a little humor for me and Jen. So with that said, let's go.
That's good, isn't it?
All right. Stephen Stayner was the third of 5 children born to Delbert and Kay Stayner in Merced, California. He had 3 sisters and an older brother, Carrie. Stephen grew up in your average American suburban home. He lived in one of those neighborhoods, kids riding their bikes up and down the street, drinking out the water hoses. Those that are mine and Jennifer's age, the typical neighborhood that you grew up in.
You come in when the street lights come on.
Yep. And that's exactly what my next thing said. Heading home when the street lights come on.
Or you get that ass beat.
Yes. Everybody knows everybody. They all had lived there, their whole life, all the kids growing up together.
It's like the kids of Sandlot. Like, we had neighborhood kids like that. It was all the same group. Not as cool as a Sandlot, real rednecky, white trash, Florida type, but the generic version of the Sandlot. Yeah, the generic.
The trash lot.
The Dollar General version.
On the afternoon of December 4th, 1972, Stephen's mom was supposed to pick him up from school. But She had to stop by an auto parts store on the way to get him to pick up a part for his dad, and she got hung up at the store. They couldn't find it. Yada, yada. You know how that goes. So when she finally gets done, she leaves. She arrives at the school, but Stephen wasn't there. So she just kind of assumed that he had walked home. It wasn't a far distance to the house. She was like, "You probably got tired of waiting on me." He headed to the house. So she heads back home. She gets home. Stephen's not there. She still wasn't too worried. She figured maybe he just went by a friend's house to play. He got home. She wasn't there. That's what we did then. You got home. You maybe had a snack. You went. You played with your friends. After a few hours, Stephen still hadn't shown up. And this is when his mother decided to call the police, and the family began a search. But the search yielded no signs of Stephen. So the mom had kind of went around, asked, nobody had seen him, and then at that point. So their first initial search was just kind of around the neighborhood. They didn't find anything. No backpack, nothing of him.
What year was this?
1972. Have
you seen that, The Black Phone, that movie?
I haven't seen it yet. I've seen the previews, but I haven't watched it.
I thought it looked kind of dumb. I do love Ethan Hawke, but it just felt very weird. And I watched it, and it has this vibe to it. The 1970s, children go missing. Everybody, it shows like that whole dichotomy of that lifestyle in those days. And it's what it sounds like. And it's like, oh, this is already terrifying.
Oh, yeah. Stephen, he had in fact walked home, but on the walk, he was approached by a man named Irvin Edward Murphy. Murphy worked at the Yosemite Lodge and was friends with Kenneth Parnell. Murphy, who was described by those who knew him as a trusting, naive, and simple-minded man, had been enlisted by Parnell, who Parnell had passed himself off to Murphy as an aspiring minister. He enlisted him into helping him abduct a young boy so that Parnell could, quote unquote, raise him in a religious type deal.
Something else is being raised, and it's not religion.
It is not, my friend.
No.
Kenneth Parnell was a 41-year-old, already convicted child rapist. In March of 1951, Parnell was arrested for raping a young boy and impersonating a police officer. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison for that.
Just 4 years.
Just 4 years.
But that kid, rest their life.
Yep.
Rest their fucking life.
Yep. And 4 years is what he got. So working on instructions from Parnell, Murphy passed out gospel booklets to boys walking home from school. On December 4th, after spotting Stephen, Murphy claimed to be a church representative seeking donations. Murphy asked Stephen if his mother would be willing to donate any items to the church. With Stephen being a naive 7-year-old second grader, he trustfully replied she would. So Murphy then asked Stephen where he lived and if he would be willing to take Murphy to his home. They show in the movie that Stephen's walking and he stops him and they ask him basically just like this, said, "Hey, will your mom donate some stuff?" He's like, "Yeah." Like, "Well, why don't you take us to the house?" Stephen's like, "Sure." And he hops in the car with the guys thinking that they're going to go to the house and get stuff for the church. And, you think this is such a different time when... So Stephen had always been described by his mother as sweet, helpful, trusting, and respectful to his elders.
Already much different than me.
Already, right? She said in the interview, this was unfortunately also Stephen's downfall. Is that he was so sweet and kind and trusting that he truly believed these guys, that that's what they were going to do. After Stephen agreed, a white Buick driven by Parnell pulled up, and Stephen willfully climbed into the car with Murphy. Parnell then drove a confused Stephen to his cabin in the nearby Cathall's Valley instead. As they passed Stephen's street, Parnell told Stephen they were going to call his parents and ask if he could stay the night. Because Stephen said as they drove by, he was like, "Yo, hey, there's my house." And they're like, "Oh, no, it's okay. You're going to come to our house and stay the night tonight." And that's when Stephen said it was the first time that, he was like, what's going on? But he still thought maybe they didn't have any ill intentions because they had been really nice to him at that point. No one had forced him in.
So
Nobody
I'm
forced
just
him
imagining
down.
like little baby Becky. Be like, no, whoa, what we not about to do? And then jumping out of a moving vehicle.
That's exactly what little baby Becky would have done.
Little baby Becky.
100%. 100%. my little baby would probably do this stuff. My sweet little Emma.
Oh, yeah. Camilla, without a doubt. They'll both be like, you know what? Do you think this is a good idea? I think this is a great idea.
Yes. I'm trying to like roughen up her edges.
We got to.
Per Stephen, the second night they told him his parents once again said he could stay the night. On the third night, Parnell told Stephen his parents had given him up for adoption because they couldn't afford all of their children and he now had possession of him. And Stephen said that he told him, because, they have 5 kids. So he said, Parnell was like, well, I mean, your parents have been fighting, haven't they? And Stephen said he thought about it and he's like, well, yeah. But they were fighting just as any like couple does.
Right.
And he was like, and money's tight because of all you kids, right? And Stephen was like, well, yeah. And he was like, yeah, they have to free up the burden. They can't take care of all of you. He played on this 7-year-old things that you could say to any kid and they would be true.
Yeah.
And so then Stephen said he started believing that maybe they did give him up because they couldn't afford everybody.
Like, also, like, poor Stephen. I drove the short stick. I don't want to kill Fuck Stephen. God damn.
You know what? Let's get rid of Stephen.
He's the youngest. He's so needy.
It just like broke my heart though that this little boy really thought this. Unbeknownst to Stephen, Parnell's cabin was located only several hundred feet from his maternal grandfather's residence. Literally, basically, like the neighbor was Stephen's grandfather, and he didn't know it because he was 7.
Right.
So he didn't know where the fuck he was. He didn't know that grandpa was literally right up the street.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Like the twist in all of it to like create a perfect storm of like,
That's like those situations you don't expect it to be happening next door, but this is the vice versa. You don't expect it like... know that you're safe. The safety is only just right there at a touch.
It didn't take Parnell long to begin his 7-year-long abuse of Stephen.
Oh my God, 7 years.
Yeah. Parnell molested Stephen the first night at the cabin. And he began raping Stephen 13 days later on December 17th, 1972. Parnell began calling the boy Dennis Gregory Parnell, retaining Stephen's real middle name and his real birthday when enrolling him in various schools over the next several years. So he basically said it was just easier to like leave as much the same so that Stephen wouldn't get confused and mess it up. So basically the only thing he changed was his first name and then of course give him the same last name as the kidnapper.
Also, you can't come up with anything better. Like, can I at least pick my own fucking made up name? Thank you. I like to be called Sasha, okay?
That's exactly why you will never be kidnapped and retained because of that attitude right there.
I want to be called Sasha Fierce Davidson because that's the closest to Davis.
I don't know why you're trying to control me and my life.
I don't like it.
Oh, that's why you will never stand by and
I'd be killed real quick. There would be no kidnapping and held under duress for that long. Yeah. They'd be like, "No, we had to kill this bitch. She's annoying."
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna run. You try to catch me. If you do, congratulations. If you don't, congratulations to me. But either way, what we're not gonna do is go down to that cellar. That's what we're not gonna do.
Same thing. Like I always hear other podcasts say this. Like, if they're gonna tell me to dig my grave, fuck that. You dig that shit. You just kill me now, bitch. I ain't gonna be doing some hard ass labor then die. No,
exactly. 100%. Like, what if I dig a nice grave? You're gonna let me go? No, you're not. So I'm gonna sit down right here. Do whatever you need to do because we all know how it ends.
Yeah, just come on, sweet release of death.
Yeah. Maybe I'll piss you off enough, it'll get over quicker.
Could you imagine like them just being confused, be like, okay, now you just took the joy out of it.
I'm not knocking anybody that dug their own grave.
No. Not to victim blame. We're not victim blaming.
Not at all.
Because you don't know what you're going to do in those situations. I would assume this is what I would do, though. But I also will walk in anywhere if you tell me it's free.
That's true. Jennifer will.
I'd like to think I'm suspicious, but I'd be like, oh, that sounds great. You have ice cream in your van with no windows? Count me in.
Cheesecake? I'm your girl.
Oh, yes.
Chicken wings? I'm here for it.
Chicken wings for life.
French fries? Yum.
Oh, my God. Pizza?
Homemade ranch?
Oh my God, that homemade ranch.
Where? Sign me up right now.
You got some Whataburger in there? Oh my God.
Sorry, we digress. Y'all are probably all hungry now.
Obviously, we're really hungry today.
I am. I have only ate one of those stupid cake pop things that I took to Emma's school. And I ate it on the way here because I was like, I gotta eat something before I get there. Sorry, guys. I need food. All right, where were we?
She cannot be held accountable when that blood sugar's low, okay?
No. Emma told me that yesterday. She was like, I got about 2 to 3 more minutes before I get hangry. She was like, same with you, right, Mom? And I was like, same, girl. Same.
I love her so much.
Same, girl. All right, back to where I was at. Okay. Parnell told people he was Stephen's father and even had Stephen calling him dad just 1 week into the abduction. The two moved frequently around California, living in locations including Santa Rosa and Look.
Like, I'm not even.
I knew how to say this town 5 weeks ago when I wrote this story. It's been 5 weeks, people.
I can practice and be like nailing it. We get on, my brain broke.
Comp. I hate my life.
How's it spelled?
COMPTCHE.
Compcha?
There we go. Right there. That place that Jennifer just said.
Compcha.
Was 260 miles from Stephen's home and was where he attended school. It was a small, remote town. One of Stephen's teachers.
I mean, it would be remote if you can't fucking pronounce that shit.
Exactly.
How do we get to come where?
See?
Then you end up in Compton.
You always got my back.
I do, girl.
So I love you. One of Stephen's teachers stated her only form of TV was an antenna mounted on top of a redwood tree. So, like, that's how small and remote it was. Like, she literally had an antenna out on the top of a redwood tree, and she said she got a few channels. So, he would pick the perfect towns that didn't know about Stephen because they weren't getting all of your news.
Especially back in those days.
Yeah.
Everything was like, now everything's at your fingertips. Back then, you had to, like, really work for your news.
Exactly. Parnell allowed Stephen to begin drinking at a young age and to come and go virtually as he pleased. And while Stephen did have friends, they would never pick him up at his house, and many of his friends described Parnell as creepy. He let him smoke, he let him drink, like I said, come and go from the house, but the friends said Parnell just, like, gave him the EBGBs, and they were never allowed to go over to his house.
And this whole time, he's thinking his family just didn't want him, so he wouldn't be telling people.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just like, I'm fucking stuck. And he's been that way for 7 years.
Parnell had also moved from one menial job to another. Some of his work required traveling and leaving Stephen unguarded, causing an adult Stephen to remark how he could have easily used these absences as opportunities to flee, but was unaware of how to summon help. And he also said at the times when he would, like, leave to go off for a weekend at work or whatever and leave Stephen there, that he thought too, well, where am I going to go? Because my parents didn't want me. They gave me up for adoption. So,
because that's what I was first thinking. I was like, why did this fucking kid not tell somebody?
Yeah.
You know, and then I was like, also, there's children don't tell people because it's so embarrassing. They don't know. Like you said with that quote, we just would believe adults. So why would he have any other reason to think that this man was lying?
And it's not like he had any opportunity to reach out for resources to see if it were true. Like you said, everything today is at our own hands. All it would take is a child to get a hold of a cell phone or see the TV or be in a restaurant and hear people
even teach them about this stuff now. They didn't teach you about then. Like, there was some stranger danger back in those days, but it was not like it is now. You have safe place signs. They have, they tell these kids what they need. They sent a whole safety paper home when Camilla, the things they went over, like what to do in this situation.
They sent the ID kits home too to, like, collect their DNA and stuff. And
the fingerprint thing, we just got that.
Yep. Stephen stated in later interviews that he had been so brainwashed into believing his family didn't want him that he was afraid that he didn't even have a home to go home to. Like I said, he was afraid that he would end up in a group home and that those living conditions would be even worse than his present life that he was experiencing. So he was like, if they don't want me and I leave and say, like, he did kidnap me, what are they going to do? They're going to put me in a group home or foster, and that's going to be even worse than what I'm dealing with here. At least I get to drink and smoke and run amok.
I mean,
he didn't say that quote, but that was the vibe I got.
Quote unquote.
He was like, I'm gonna run amok.
Amok.
The stories Parnell had fed Stephen were quite the opposite. Stephen's father, who his children said they had never seen cry, was falling apart.
Oh.
At points, he was literally on the verge of insanity. They said he became so obsessed with finding Stephen that he would like pass a car down the freeway and he would think that he saw somebody like duck down and he would turn around and follow that car to wherever they went until they stopped and then get out and make them see in the back of his car. Like he was literally losing his fucking mind. Everything that he saw that seemed slightly suspicious, he was like on it.
That would be
Didn't
you.
matter.
I feel like that would be you. You would be.
I would. I'd be absolutely fucking a
manic.
lunatic. Yeah.
Like you would be. And also you don't fuck around. Like I could see you be walking up. What's in your fucking back seat?
I would have the cops called on me so much. But, I could see you doing the same damn thing. So
the fuck's back there?
I'm like, I'm calling Jennifer. We're going after this person. JJ, I'm like, stop. I'm like, fuck you.
Fuck you.
He'd be like, you know what? Just call her. Go. I don't give a fuck. Just
but his steak will never be wrong.
Do what?
His steak will never be wrong because he can't, like whenever that's why I have that woman.
You're 100% correct.
He knows where that bread's buttered.
That's right.
She might get crazy sometimes. I might be afraid she's going to jail, but you know what? My food's always correct.
That's right. That's right. And you're never going to overpay on anything.
Hell no.
I went busting up in the gas station the other day because I sent Justin in with a $10 bill to get a drink, and he came back with the fucking Mountain Dew and $2 and some change. I said, where's the rest of your change? He said, this is all she gave me. All right. Sit tight while your mom goes and makes the ass out of herself. I walked in there. I'm like, hey, so what's up? This is all the change you gave him? He gave you a $10 bill. What? And I was like, he gave you a $10 bill. This is all the change you gave him for a Mountain Dew? She was like, oh, And then she hit the button and gave me the rest of the change. And I'm like, so that tells me you knew what you were doing because you didn't question me and say, no, he only gave me a $5. Like, she wasn't slightly confused what we were talking about. She started laughing and smirked and then opened the register and gave the rest of the change.
That fucking bitch. Because
she knew he was special needs and probably thought maybe he was going to get back on like the special needs like transportation.
Right.
Didn't know his fucking mama was sitting out there and that I'm here to tell you I'm here and I'm ready all the time.
Because when you are in a retail environment, like I remember being at the grocery store and people would try to pull this scam and they said, okay, we're going to go and we're going to count down this drawer in front of you. Mm-hmm. And if it's even, we're not giving you a dime.
Yeah.
So if you are like, no, that bitch totally knew. She
totally knew.
She totally fucked up.
Because I have went before where they're like, no, you didn't give me, a 20. And I'm like, yes, I did. And they're like, all right, well, I'm going to have to call the manager and we're going to count the drawer. And I'm like, cool, let's do it. Yeah. The fact that she didn't put up anything tells me she fucking knew. And I was like, you fucking bitch. It makes me mad because they know he's special needs and they try to do it. And I'm like, to a handicapped person, congratulations.
How do you
Bravo
live
on being a douchebag. Bravo.
Like, how can you, like, that's like punching a baby in the face. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Or punching a Jimmy or a JJ in the face. Basically, they're also babies.
There's a special extra hot hell for people like her.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Jimmy told me this today to go to hell, and I was like, isn't that the point?
Isn't that where I am here with you?
Like, excuse me? You act like I'm not on the same page here.
Sorry, the lack of food, I'm digressing again. He would also drive around endlessly looking for disturbed areas of earth that could be Stephen's grave, and he would start digging in them. Yeah, he went off. One day, Carrie, Stephen's older brother, was out painting the garage door, repainting it, and there was a place where Stephen had drawn his name on the door, and they said his dad flew out in a rage because he almost painted over it, and he was like, do not paint over it, lost his shit. And yeah, his dad really went, which is very sad.
It is. There is that movie with who played Deadpool, Jimmy. He's hot as hell. Ryan Reynolds. There's a movie, and I believe it's Ryan Reynolds, and he's in a truck with his daughter, and he goes into a store, and she's there, and he comes back, and she's gone. And he's like that. He's torn fucking apart, losing his mind, trying to find her, feeling crazy amounts of guilt.
I can imagine. 9 months into the abduction, Barbara Mathis began dating Parnell, which lasted until the spring of 1976. She was around Stephen and described him as a good boy. She states she was told Stephen's mother died when he was an infant, and so Parnell was raising him as a single father. Barbara eventually moved in and lived with them for a time. She also had a son who was 12 years old at the time named Lloyd. Barbara met with Stephen's mother later at the end and claims she never knew and she took care of him, this and that. And it's hard to find a lot of information about her, but what I did find said that the two of them would bring Stephen in and have sex with him together. And this is what Stephen said too. So I'm going to go with what the little boy
Oh, absolutely. Because my first thought was she has her son in there. So how long before he fucks with her son?
Right.
And her son goes...
So
that's like some Fred and Rosemary West type shit.
Stephen said he also had sex with her, and starting at a young age of 9, would have sex with both of them on at least 9 occasions over the course of 18 months that she lived with them.
Listen, I love picking stories for our podcast where you want to vomit just about. That what you're hitting, you're out doing me that because I literally just got super nauseous. Oh fuck.
Yeah. 9 years old. Ugh. Yeah. That's Camilla's age, right? She just turned 9.
I know. How are you taking this? Oh my God, I can't. Sorry. I just got this is what Becky feels. Oh my God, how do you not beat my ass?
Yeah, like the time you talked about the smashing the baby after. Yeah.
Oh, God, that's
You're
awful.
welcome. You're welcome.
You will never be that podcast that hides information. I'll tell you that.
We will not. One of the few positive aspects of Stephen's life while he was with Parnell was they gave him a dog that he received as a gift. It was a Manchester Terrier that he named Queenie. And he said that was one of the only positive things. He loved that fucking dog. The dog had been given to Parnell by his mother, who was not aware of Stephen's existence during the time. And so Parnell gave it to him. And he took that fucking dog everywhere with him.
Mm-hmm.
As you can imagine, the only thing that, how your relationship is with your dogs.
Unreciprocated love. They're not wanting anything.
No. Yeah.
That's
how much we love our dogs and we have a normal life and are not being held hostage and whatnot. Just imagine when that is your only form of love, how great it must.
Thank God he had the dog.
I know. That must have been the only comfort.
He could be a Carl Panzram if he did not. Those people who are raised without any love whatsoever and just constant abuse end up being so fucked up.
Yeah.
Thank God.
When Stephen finally became comfortable in, what's the name of the town, Jennifer?
Fuck, I don't even remember.
Kopcha. There we go. Parnell got nervous. So Stephen had made a lot of friends. He started trusting teachers. He met and trusted his friends' parents. And this meant he may end up getting so comfortable that he would tell someone. So whenever he would get that comfortable somewhere, Parnell was like, time to bounce. He was...
We ain't going to do no slumber party secrets.
Yeah. When Parnell started getting nervous in this particular town, he was dead on about it. One of Stephen's friends said in the series that they were all walking home from school one day and they were all talking about what they were going to do over Christmas break. And they were asking Stephen, are you going to go visit any of your family? Are you going to go see your mom? And Stephen replied by saying, my mom doesn't know where I am. And they just thought it was kind of weird that he said it.
That's a really weird thing to say about somebody who's dead.
Well, he didn't tell his friends his mom was dead.
Oh, okay.
The stepmom claims that she thought. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They said on another instance, Stephen was heading home with his friends, and out of nowhere, he just burst into tears and said he wanted to go home. When his friends said that they were only a short distance from his home, one friend said Stephen replied with, no, my real home. Mm-hmm. And shortly after that, they packed up and they left. And they said, hindsight's 20/20. And the kids said they felt like Stephen was starting to get to the point where he was going to tell them and he was going to seek help because he was starting to trust them because he would go stay the night, and their parents were, oh, Stephen, how are you? You know how you get with
healthy
your friends.
Fucking relationships and going, oh, wow. Well,
and he started realizing there was people he could trust.
Yeah.
And
that weren't just going to say, oh, you're lying.
Or go tell his dad. Yeah. And so once he got to that point, Parnell was like, it's time to share gas.
Could you imagine how blood chilling that would feel to realize that later and go, oh no.
To watch the friends that are all grown now retell the story and to see their true pain, saying, I just wish we would have known, to look back and know we didn't know and we didn't do anything. Because the theme amongst everyone who spoke of Stephen was, even during all this, he was a very kind boy. He was always kind. He was always sweet, just a good kid. Even when he was going through all this abuse, he just was.
Right.
And when you see the interviews with him as a young man, you can just see the sweet innocence about him. And it is truly, like, I had to turn it off quite a few times while writing this and watching it because it just broke my heart so much. And there's even more freaking heartbreak coming. There's one point where I was like, I told JJ, I was like, I had to get up and walk away because I was about to throw the TV on the ground and bust it. I was so fucking mad. I'll get to that and you'll know.
Listen, I know how you are about maintaining and like, you know, taking care of your stuff.
So if I want to break something.
If you want to break something that would end up costing you money.
You know I'm mad. You know I'm mad.
She pissed.
When they left, they moved to another small town called Point Arena. As Stephen entered puberty, Parnell began to look for a younger child to kidnap. So once Stephen became, you know,
out of the age. Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Ugh, that makes me think of, have you seen the Tiger King where they're talking about Doc Antle, where he was married to this young girl. And then when she started getting older, it was when she realized that he was pretty much a predator.
Sickening. So Parnell had used Stephen to attempt to kidnap children on prior occasions, but all the kidnapping attempts were unsuccessful. So he would take Stephen to fill in as the guy who kidnapped Stephen. Well, Stephen later said all of these were unsuccessful because he intentionally messed them up. Stephen did. He said he would go out and do like the little ruse with the Bible things, but he said he would always fuck them up on purpose so that the kids would not get kidnapped. And doesn't that just break your heart more that this kid is like trying to save these other children?
Because there are a lot of cases where there have been, teenagers that have said, fucking terrifying.
Corell. Yeah. And Stephen said at a certain point, he just plain refused to help after that anymore. He's like, no, I'm not going to.
He's such a good soul.
I know. This caused Parnell to believe that Stephen lacked the means to be an accomplice. Like I said, Stephen later,
obviously.
Said he intentionally sabotaged those. On February 14th, 1980, Parnell and a teenage friend of Stephen's named Randall Sean Poorman kidnapped 5-year-old Timmy White in Ukiah. Stephen's friend Randall would come over there and drink and smoke and get drugs and whatnot. And Parnell ended up paying him to help him go kidnap this kid. So they went and kidnapped this 5-year-old Timmy White. White was a kindergartner in Ukiah in 1980. A classmate routinely walked him the bulk of the way home or to a babysitter's house after school each day. White would then walk the final stretch alone. On February 14th, White was walking home carrying Valentine's cards and his lunch pail when 14-year-old Randall Poorman feigned car tire trouble and tried to get White to hold a tire valve stem. So he was acting like he's working on the car and asked this little kid to help him.
Listen, haven't we talked about this before where, if you are a child and there's an older person who's saying, oh my God, I can't carry this fish tank by myself, fuck them.
Exactly.
Why are they going to ask your little 80-pound ass to do it?
And
they are not.
He was 5, so he really isn't going to be able to help you.
What are you going to do?
Exactly.
I can't, as a grown human, do it. But you and your tiny ass little body, let's get it done.
But kids are always wanting to help and think they're, Emma loves when she can help me do something. And she's just so proud when she can. But I don't be asking her to do grown shit like that.
You know what, Emma? I'm going to need you to come on over here and fry some pork chops.
I'm going to need you to jack up this car so I can change the tire.
You're so tiny. Get underneath there and change that fucking oil. Get with it.
Fact, what am I doing anything for? Get your ass out there and do it.
Goddamn right.
Now I'll sit inside.
Little Cinderella ass walking around. Fuck. That's what we're going to dress her up next year is for Halloween. We'll do it like the Cinderella
Girl,
pre-dress.
she actually wants to be a bloody vampire next year. She finally has moved to the dark side and wants to be something scary.
That's my girl.
I know.
That's like when Camilla told me that I asked her what kind of birthday she wanted. She goes, I want a devil birthday. I said, what? And she's like, I want a red cake with a devil and red decorations. And I was like, oh,
Hail Satan.
Shit, hail Satan. Today, like, she was like, Mom, I need to ask you, which one of your podcasts are my favorite? Is it Bloody Mary? Is it Jonestown? And then she said a third one. I can't even remember what it was. And I was like, Jonestown? You haven't even listened to it. She goes, I know. Just answer. I said, Bloody Mary. She goes, that's because I thought of that idea.
I can't stand her. Get her out of the house. I can't stand her anymore.
When she said Jonestown, I was like, oh, god damn. I apparently talk about Jonestown way too much.
That's all right. I do it too. I did turn off last podcast on the left yesterday when I was listening to the Henry Lee Lucas researching for mine. And he was like, okay, I want everybody to close their eyes and picture which animal he's fucking while he's supposed to throw. And I'm like, slow motion reaching up and hitting pause because Emma's in the back seat. Like, this is too far.
You know, I didn't think there was a line, but I just found it.
I found it. This is it. And she's just sitting back there in her sunglasses like, let's turn on the radio.
It would have been hilarious though if she'd been, you know what? A raccoon.
I was like,
no, wow.
Like, I'm scarring my child for life.
Scarring her or preparing her. Okay.
You know what? Thank you. Preparing her.
We're keeping it real.
Thank you. So anyway, we digressed again. Back to the story. They asked the little boy to come over and help with the car.
That was a long one, too.
It was. Parnell was in the driver's seat of the car. White ran instead of falling for the ruse. So he was a smart kid. He was like, fuck that. I know y'all don't really need me.
Yeah.
I got to go. Well, he only got a couple of steps. He said, I got a couple of steps. Then he grabbed me and threw me into the back seat. Poor man. He gave me some juice and sleeping pills. Poorman would later say Parnell had offered him cash, liquor, and marijuana for his help, and that he's abducting him to, once again, start a family.
That's fucking awful.
I know. Motivated in part by the young boy's distress, Stephen decided he was going to return White to his parents. Stephen later said in an interview he just didn't want the boy to live the life that he had been forced to live. Parnell dyed White's blonde hair to a dark brown and gave him new clothes. White said Parnell refused his pleas to take him home to his parents. Privately, Stephen vowed to help White return to his family, White said. So they were sleeping in the bed one night and Stephen told him, I'm going to take you home. I promise I'm going to take you home. Several nights while Parnell was away, the boys ventured from the cabin off Mountain View Road and tried to hitchhike a ride. So they would sneak out and they would try to go, but they would get to the road. There'd be no cars, nothing. They didn't know where they were going, so they would come back into the house. So in what they believe was their third attempt, because they couldn't remember how many times they had tried to escape, on March 1st, 1980, they went out and they found a guy. They hitchhiked. White later recalled the guy spoke very little English and had the car radio turned to a Spanish station, but he drove them into town. While Parnell was away at his night security job, Stephen had left with White and hitchhiked to Ukiah. It was 39...
Ukiah, of all places. That is a very small town, and that's where the People's Temple went.
Oh, shit. Why do our stories always do this?
I know, every fucking time.
That's where the little boy was kidnapped from, was Ukiah.
Yeah. I caught a vibe.
It was 39 miles and raining and cold, but Stephen was determined his life would not be Timmy's life. After they were unable to locate White's home, they had the dude drive him into town, and they went searching for the little boy's home.
Which, at 5, that's going to be a difficult situation. But damn, that's impressive, really.
Yeah. So they're wandering around trying to find his home, and they come across the police station. The police were relieved. You know, they walked in, they knew immediately who Timmy White was, but they had no idea everything else that was about to happen. And they turned to Stephen, and he just looks at him and he says, "My name is Stephen." And that's the series when he was a kid. "My name is Stephen."
Oh my gosh.
And they still had
I wonder
no idea
how that felt for him to say after so long.
Yeah. And
know that you are finally probably more than likely safe, and that you saved another child from your fate.
Yeah. On March 1st, police arrived at the Stayners' front porch at 3 a.m. Kay Stayner answered the door, and police told her they were there to talk about her son. So she said Carrie had gone out camping that night with some friends.
Mm-hmm.
So she said when the police showed up at 1, she was like, "What did Carrie do?" Like, she thought him and his friends went and got into some trouble.
Right.
And they were like, "No, we're here about your other son." And her and her husband immediately thought they found his body finally. But police told the parents the news that he was alive and that he walked into the police station. His mom said that when they showed up and they said, "It's about your other son," she said that was the first time that she had truly lost hope. She said she just knew in that instance he was dead. And she said she'd always kind of held on to that hope he was going to come home. And so then to get that feeling of dread and then them say, "Actually, no, he is alive."
I just like,
Could you imagine?
You know, like when you're terrified of something and then it's turns out it's nothing big, or it's just that relief washes over you and everything. You could feel like it through your veins. It's like, oh.
Yep. They wouldn't let them see him for 24 hours. They had to wait 24 hours. So by daybreak, 24 hours later, on March 2nd, 1980, Parnell was arrested on suspicion of abducting both boys. Stephen came home to his family carrying his dog, Queenie.
Oh.
I know. And you can watch the real video of just the swarms of people outside the home and him just carrying his little dog coming home. Oh, yeah. It's heartbreaking.
Queenie, meet my family. Queenie's part of my family. Oh my God.
Hundreds of reporters and people lined the street. The next day began the start of interviews with press, interviews, movies, TV shows, and any other attention that you can even begin to imagine. It didn't stop, and it wasn't going to stop anytime soon. This kid was gone for 7 years. 7 years that he was abducted December 4th, 1972, and he came home March 1st of 1980.
Oh my gosh. So 8 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Short of
8 years. Holy shit.
And just think, nobody ever thought, this doesn't happen. They don't come home, unfortunately, most of the time.
No. Just like those in Cleveland, the 3 ladies that were, their families probably never thought that was ever going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then we always see the end of the story where people get reunited in those rare occasions. But what have those people been through since then to try to cope with those years of trauma? Like the Turpin children holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I can't imagine.
The mom said in the interview she kind of regrets now, hindsight, that she let all these interviews and reports and everything happen. Newspapers and TV reporters followed him everywhere, including into his classes when he returned to school. They just sat in there and filmed him in English and math class.
That's awful.
Everywhere. Walking down the hallways, everywhere he went.
Why is the school letting...
It's the fucking 80s, girl.
I guess that's true. Everybody was still coked out from the 70s. And
exactly. They weren't firing all neurons up there, weren't they?
Yeah. We're talking about those generations right after the whole bunch of acid dropping.
Mm-hmm.
Whole lot of psychedelics happening.
Yep.
Got still some peyote and shit.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Psychedelic mushrooms, a whole other thing's going on there. All of this media attention led to some jealousy from his siblings as well.
Listen, that's a very fucked up thing. You know what? I wish I had been kidnapped for 8 fucking years.
Well, I mean, think about it. All of a sudden, your brother's home, and
he's the golden child.
Yeah. anybody talks about, anybody does. Like, you were just kind of pushed to the back and the rest of you don't exist anymore. And keep in mind, at this point, they thought homeboy had just abducted him. Nobody knew what
They didn't know the
happened to him.
details.
He didn't tell any of it. He was just like, yeah, he just kidnapped me and wanted me to be his kid. That's what he told everybody. He did not tell them that he was raped or any of that at this point.
Yeah.
So
which is something that was rarely talked about in those days.
Yeah. So they were thinking at this point that it wasn't that bad. I'm not saying that. They were thinking
it makes more sense for them to have that jealousy if it not knowing that factor. Like, you're like, oh, he just wanted, like, that girl that was a couple years back, she found out that the woman she thought was her mother was her kidnapper.
Yeah.
Her whole fucking life, you know? And it was just a like,
and that's what they
child.
At this point thought.
Yeah.
Because that's what Stephen told them. All this media attention, like I said, in one interview with Stephen's older brother, Kerry, he says they kept treating him like a hero for returning Timmy to his family, but says anyone with the moral fiber would do it. It doesn't make you a hero. It kind of does, because he didn't have to save that little boy's life.
No.
He could have just let him come and the abuse stop on himself and let it go to someone else, you know?
Yeah, like, okay, finally I got somebody else to take this.
Right.
Oof.
After returning home, Stephen had a lot of trouble adjusting back to a normal life, all these interviews, and also he had been allowed to drink and smoke and run around.
Yeah.
His parents are like, nah, bruh, not in here. You're 14. Like, what?
Yeah, like, I can see that. Like, come home, like, go in 14 years old, go and get like a Budweiser out of the fridge.
Yeah.
The fuck you think you doing?
Right. Light up a Marlboro, and they're like,
like, it's been a hard day in middle school.
Exactly. And, you don't think about those aspects of it. Like, what he knew as his normal life was no longer. So just adjusting to that is hard.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of trouble reconnecting with his father, which is, ironic in its own, because the dad had the hardest time with him leaving and now he's home. But they said his dad basically kept trying to treat him like he was 7 again. And he wasn't 7. His dad was still stuck in the air of him being 7. Stephen's life went from one lifestyle to a completely another lifestyle in just 24 hours. Everything just dumped out. And not only did his regular activities change, now he's in the spotlight literally 24 hours a day. You can't even go to class and there's not cameras in there filming you. And, the other kids are, they're going to be kind of jealous. So you're going to have people being mean to you at school and people saying things. And it's like, can we just let him go to school and like try to like get life back together? And how about we don't follow him around with cameras? But, the 80s, they are wild.
Very wild.
In an interview with Newsweek shortly after his escape, Stephen said, I returned almost a grown man, and yet my parents saw me at first as their 7-year-old. After they stopped trying to teach me the fundamentals all over again, it got better. But why doesn't my dad hug me anymore? Everything has changed. Sometimes I blame myself. I don't know sometimes if I should have come home. Would I have been better off if I didn't?
Oh my God.
Isn't that heartbreaking?
I regret he probably never thought he would ever ponder.
But now he sees like how a mess his family is and how a mess they are now that he's back. Not his fault, but life just everyone trying to adjust to him come home and emotionally process it.
It's like dropping a pebble in the stream. Everything just goes haywire. And they had the best of intentions, I'm sure, but...
Stephen didn't seek any counseling because his father said he didn't need any.
Yep.
Per his sister, Stephen, got on with his life, but he was pretty messed up. To only make matters worse, when police and media first asked Stephen about being abused, he denied it. Everyone eventually thought it was just a case of a lonely man wanting a family. But then Polaroid pictures of a naked, nude Stephen as a child were discovered. And then everybody found out. And that's when the bullying really started for Stephen. They would call him a faggot. They would, it was horrible, the names and the things they would say.
Also, another situation where, like, would you punch a baby in the throat? Like, goddamn.
Exactly. And this is the part where I wanted to throw my fucking TV.
Mm-hmm.
They did an interview with the principal. You see the whole ass principal's face. It's from 1980.
Whole ass face. His whole ass face.
Whole ass face. Okay, I watched the words come out of his mouth. There is no misconstruing it or anything. When the principal was interviewed, he said, the school has a bunch of good kids, and that now that they all know about what happened with Stephen, that, yeah, maybe the girls won't be chasing him down the halls to get with him, but there's nothing wrong with what they're doing and saying. He literally said it was okay they were calling him names for being raped by a man, and that, well, girls aren't going to be chasing him. They're probably not going to want to be with him now, but he actually said this on a TV interview.
I would throw my fucking TV. That is
disgusting.
Oh my God.
And that he said it in an interview.
And he's the principal.
Yeah.
The person that's in charge of these kids' safety and well-being when they're learning.
When he said it, he was like, I mean, now they know the girls aren't going to be chasing him down the halls.
Like, the victim blame much?
I wanted to vomit. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
I don't know how. Okay, so this is why I could never be a journalist. Because I'd be doing an interview and a motherfucker say some shit like that. I'd be like, whoa, hold the fucking door. What?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'd be like too. I'd be like, all right, well, listen here, you old ass crusty white motherfucker. Let me tell you something. I bet the bitches ain't chasing you down the hall neither, are they?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, and then I would have just, it still infuriates me. Like this poor fucking kid. So needless to say, he didn't stay long in high
he's
school.
a hero. He's a hero. He was raped. Ooh.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah. Disgusting. On June 8th, 1981, Parnell was tried and convicted of kidnapping Timothy White and sentenced to 7 years in prison. He was tried for Stephen in a separate trial. He was again sentenced to 7 years, but only mandated to serve a third of this sentence and was paroled after serving 5. Now I want you to think very deeply about this, okay? Parnell's sentence was less time than the time he held Stephen captive. His prison sentence was less time than this little boy was held as his fucking sex slave. Almost 8 years Stephen was his prisoner, and he got 5.
Not counting the years of fallout after those almost 8 fucking years. And then also, he'd already been in trouble for that shit.
Yes.
So he obviously is a repeat offender.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the law is like, there's a mandated time. No, it should be specific to, are they going to reoffend? Is it even safe for them to be around other individuals? And I would say in that situation, that motherfucker needs to be locked up and put in like maybe a pedo colony or some shit. I don't know. But that shit, they don't need to be walking around no goddamn children. 5 years?
5 years. And Stephen was his fucking hostage for 7. It just makes me sick. It's like a spit in the face to Stephen. Like, you don't fucking matter is what we just told you. Exactly. You don't matter.
The law says... We told
you that at the school.
This is your worth.
At his trial. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's heartbreaking.
Fuck that shit.
Parnell was not charged with the numerous sexual assaults on Stephen and other boys because most of them occurred outside the jurisdiction of the Merced County prosecutor or were by then outside the statute of limitations. Yeah.
Again, these statutes and limitations on some of these things need to go the fuck away.
They do. The Mendocino County prosecutors, acting almost entirely alone, decided not to prosecute Parnell for the sexual assaults that occurred in their jurisdiction. So when he lived in the other places and he was doing all this, they were like, he got 5 years. It's all good. Yeah. Bet if it was their child, they wouldn't have felt that way.
Oh, hell no, they wouldn't have.
Edward Murphy, Parnell's accomplice from the kidnapping from when they kidnapped Stephen, was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment and paroled after 2 years. So he got as much time for just, okay. I'm not going to say just kidnapping him, but I don't know how to say it without sounding like a horrible person. He helped facilitate the kidnapping of him, but in no way participated in anything after that. Right. No rapes or anything. And he got the same amount of time as somebody who raped this kid for 7 years.
Yeah, it's not that it's better or worse. They're both fucking crimes, but those are two different types of crimes.
Yes.
That's like comparing jaywalking to murder.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that's pretty fucked up that he helped facilitate that. But wow.
Yes. Sean Porman, Stayner's school friend who helped Parnell in the White kidnapping, was sentenced to a term at a juvenile work camp because remember, he was only 14. And Barbara Mathis, Parnell's girlfriend, who lived with him and Stayner for some time, was never charged with any violation and cooperated with authorities in Parnell's trial. But yet Stephen said...
They probably made a deal with her and said, you start talking about what he did, then we will not hold you accountable for your portion.
Mm-hmm. In 1985, Stephen met and married 17-year-old Jody Edmondson, whom he'd met at a butcher shop they were both working at. He went on to
doesn't raw meat make you fall in love?
Brings me back to, God, how can I forget her name? I did the whole story over her. Old girl that cut her husband up, that slicey and dicey her knives.
Catherine Knight.
Yes. How do I forget the
I do the same thing.
The story over.
Shit. Catherine, this is not a knife. This is a knife.
Yes. He met her. They went on to get married, and they had 2 children, a daughter, Ashley, and a son, Stephen Jr., who are both in this documentary, too. And it's very interesting to hear from them as well. He was described as a wonderful father. Like I said, there's a movie called My Name is Stephen. I didn't get to watch the movie because, it was made in the 80s, and it's kind of hard to get your hands on that kind of stuff now.
Yes, I know exactly.
I could order the VHS for like $95, and I was like, not today.
First of all, I don't even have a VHS player.
I probably have one packed away somewhere, but we're not.
Also, the motherfuckers didn't work brand new. You think that shit gonna work now?
Right? The odds of the VHS player and the VHS both working, slim to none. Stephen worked directly with the director in creating the series based on his life and the events. So Stephen was there for the entire filming, the entire writing, everything. And they said the director was really good about going in the direction that Stephen would say. Stephen would say that's not how it happened, and they would change it. Of course, some things were still dramatized, family reactions and stuff like that. But they said for the most part, it is spot on because Stephen was right there and was he was an adult now. And it's really interesting too, because you can see snippets of it when you watch the docuseries.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, when they're bringing Stephen home, there's a cop escorting him, and the cop escorting him is the real Stephen. Yeah. So he was in it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was like, that's kind of cool that they is cool. Incorporated him into it. Yeah.
I mean, well, they did that with Wolf of Wall Street. Jordan Belfort's in that in another scene. And then there's a couple other movies that are like that where they put the real person in. Yeah. I love it when they do things like that.
I don't know why. I just think it's so cool. So yeah, if you watch the series, you'll see the cop bringing him home it's really interesting. When the movie originally aired in the 80s, it had 40 million viewers. Stephen went on to work with child abduction groups, spoke to children about personal safety, and gave interviews about his kidnapping. He joined the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints just before his death. At the time of his death, he was living in Merced and working at a pizza shop. So on September 16th, 1989, Stephen sustained fatal head injuries while on his way home from work when his motorcycle collided with a car in a hit-and-run accident. The car ran a stop sign, and Stephen died on the scene. The alleged driver of the car was later identified by witnesses. 500 people attended his funeral, and 14-year-old Timmy White was a pallbearer. The little boy that it makes me get all
oh my God.
Yeah. He was only 24, I believe, whenever he died. It's so tragic because he was like such a good person. And even with everything that went on, he like, they said for a little while he had a little bit of issues with alcohol, drinking a lot.
I mean, who would not at that shit? Goddamn.
Yeah. But he never like got into the drugs or anything like that. He was never like violent.
He was really just a good person.
Yeah. He went and tried to do these outreach programs to help children. And then
he thought about everybody but himself.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And his wife at the time, she's in it too, in the series. And she said he was a great father, like, you know, but the kids were really young when he died. And they talk about that a little bit. And they talk about the family didn't really tell them a lot about him when they were growing up, like about what happened to him, that, you know, found out later on in life. Kind of like Debbie Downs' daughter that got given how she found out from a babysitter. That's kind of how they found out a lot about their dad's abduction and stuff, was from other people telling them and then them sneaking and watching it.
I remember being a kid and my family not telling us certain things and becoming an adult and being like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Some dark ass shit.
Right? In January of 2003, Parnell was arrested again after trying to coerce his caregiver's sister, Diane Stevens, into buying him a 4-year-old boy for $500. Parnell was, by this time, 71 years old and suffering from diabetes and emphysema, as well as other elements brought on by an earlier stroke, requiring near 24-hour-a-day nursing care in his cluttered apartment in the 2600 block of Matthew Street in Berkeley.
The devil don't even want him.
Devil don't even want him. And then this motherfucker actually had the audacity to ask the person who was coming to take care of him, can you buy me a 4-year-old boy for $500 off
like,
the
You
internet?
don't have to take care of him, just me. I got a cage set up for him. Like, what the fuck? Where are you going to keep this
thing?
thing?
He just wanted a son again. He still was going with that fucking ruse.
Ugh. Look, you're 71 years old. Okay, sure.
This motherfucker should have never even been out. He should have still been in prison for what he did to Stephen.
Exactly.
So Diane Stevens, the person that he was trying to buy this child off the internet, so she was aware of Parnell's past. She knew that he had raped a child before and kidnapped Stephen Stayner. So she told the police, hey, your boy over here fucking around again, trying to get children's. So she helped. And that was exactly
quote
what
unquote.
she did. Quote unquote. Yes.
Hey. You're here?
So she told the police. So the police set up a sting operation. And according to Diane, all right, y'all know me and Jennifer are always going to give it to you straight on. And nothing nice about it.
Nope.
According to Diane Stevens' testimony, Parnell requested that the child have a clean rectum, indicating his sexual intentions. He paid $100 for a birth certificate and had $400 on his person for completion of the transaction when he was to receive the child on January 3rd, 2003. Parnell was arrested that day. Subsequently. Why do I keep putting that in here like I know how to say it? Telling authorities, I just wanted a family.
Okay.
But only a family with clean buttholes.
Yeah, clean buttholes only.
Only.
Listen.
First of all, no 4-year-old has a clean asshole because they're dirty.
I mean.
They're just filthy creatures at that age.
You know, like if
they need baths daily.
You know, you're going to just throw away a lot of underwear at that age. You just like, you know what? I don't even want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with this literal shit.
And listen, Parnell, you're 71. You've had a stroke and diabetes.
Your shit ain't 24 hours.
Yeah, your butthole ain't clean either, buddy.
That dick for sure ain't clean.
And I guarantee it ain't working.
No. Just like, listen. You know, that sounds so suspicious.
Listen, Linda.
This is some bullshit. Like, you know what? I need some Rohypnol. Don't worry.
Zip ties?
I'm so tired. I'm not tired. I have insomnia and I just cannot sleep. And I have this party I'm going to. I need to crush them down though. I can't. Yes. I need liquid form. I'm very funny about my pills and I can't see them. So I like to crush them down and put them but it's for me.
It's for me.
It's for me. Like, you are so. Like that guy's like, why are you so stupid? Really?
Just like, if anybody are ever look, I can't even get my words. I'm like,
my brain just like, make it make sense.
If, like, Jimmy were like, Becky, I need you to do me a favor. I need a 4-year-old with a clean butthole. But it's just because I want another kid and Jennifer won't have one. I
want to make sure that, he's got his shit together literally by cleaning his butthole.
Come again? One more time. Run that by me.
What about a clean rectum?
Say what to who? Oh, okay.
Didn't know that.
All right.
It's a line of inquiry that I did not expect in my lifetime.
Let me see what I can do. I'm going to get back to you. Sit tight. Just hang out right there. I'll get right back to you.
Come back with like a carnation in your shirt and be like, so tell me more about this clean rectum. Come closer. Isn't this a beautiful flower?
Right? And I'm like profusely sweating because I'm recording it.
Yes. If you think we can't talk now, I'd be like,
I don't even know how I would respond if somebody asked me that. Anywho, we digress. Parnell was convicted on February 9th, 2004 on the charges of attempting to purchase a child and attempted child molestation, even though no child had been targeted. The prosecution successfully argued that sexual aids and pornography found in the apartment, along with Deborah Stevens' own testimony, were enough to prove that Parnell's intentions were criminal in nature. Mm-hmm. Parnell was sentenced to 25 years to life under California's 3 strikes law. He fucked around,
and he found
as you can see on this graph, and he found out.
I wonder, because that was in the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the 80s to 2003. So that's about 20
He did
years.
something in there, 100%.
He 100% did something. And he didn't get caught until he started. Did he get the Sundowners or something? And he forgot who the fuck he was talking to?
That's all I can think.
I mean.
Or maybe he was like, you know what? Fuck it, what do I got to lose?
But like.
Let's see.
25 to life? Well, that could be next week.
She seems, exactly. She seems cool. She seems cool.
She seems on the level.
Yeah. She seems all right. I feel like we bonded. I think she'll do it.
I think she would appreciate a clean rectum, too.
I think she'll do it.
Oh, damn.
I don't know. Prosecutor Tim Wellman had largely argued the case before the jury by showing a slideshow of Stephen Stayner.
I thought you were about to say.
Oh, no.
I was like, please don't say it was his rectum.
It was like, he said, dirty, clean, dirty, clean.
As the slideshow of Stevens, I was like, please God.
No. He showed a slideshow of Stephen Stayner marked number 1, then of White marked number 2, and a blank screen marked number 3 to show the non-existent child that would have been abducted had police not been notified. And let me tell you, that's kind of powerful right there to show an audience. Here's your number 1, here's your number 2, and this blank screen, picture your kid, picture your grandchild, picture your neighbor's kid, because it could have been anybody, but he was on his way to get another one. And to me, that like speaks volumes. That's like a powerful message that he put up there.
Just like that, famous YouTuber. Hide your kids. Hide your kids. Hide your kids.
Hide your caregiver.
Because they be raping everybody out here.
Wellman said Parnell was looking for one last hurrah, one last Stephen Stayner, one last Timothy White. Parnell remained incarcerated until his death at the age of 76 on January 21st, 2008 at the California Medical Facility in in California. According to prison officials, Parnell died of natural causes. He had been under hospice care for some time. And on February 5th, we're going to end on this note. Well, first of all, let's just say how sad that was. In the end, Parnell got what he deserved, to die alone in a prison. Shamefully, he should have been there before, because I feel like you, Jennifer, I feel like he did something between the 80s and 2000.
Without a doubt.
There's no way he went 20 years without doing anything.
And then also, listen, I'm sure you have never done anything negligent as a nurse, but being a nurse in a jail with somebody, or like a hospice nurse in that situation, I'm just saying it'd be really hard not to put some bubbles in that IV. Like, be really hard not to fuck motherfucker up.
Sometimes it is when you know what people have done. Sometimes it's very much like, "Husa, remember you're not God."
You know, if JJ ever tells you to calm down, be like, listen here. I have yet to kill somebody.
I told him, if he wants to be an episode on IDTV or my podcast, tell me that.
Please.
Tell me that.
Please. But like the restraint you have, first of all, are you Mother Teresa?
I am. Thank you for acknowledging it.
You really are.
I feel seen. Thank you. I feel
Finally
seen.
feel seen.
Finally.
You're out here fighting for your life, girl. Every day. Just doing the Lord's work.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Fighting for my life. It's like I'm just out here fighting for my life every day. I've been using that so much lately because it sounds so as dramatic.
So before we end, I'm going to leave us with this little segue. On February 15th, 1999, the Stayner family would once again enter the spotlight when mother, daughter, and family friend went missing after dinner at the Cedar Lodge in El Portal on Yosemite's western edge. And that's all we're going to say. You're going to have to wait till the next episode about Stephen's brother, Carrie.
I'm so excited. Oh, man. That was so sad. And I know we went through so many segues, but I don't think we could have made it through it without it. Yeah. There were some really rough points.
Oh, and also I wanted to say, y'all stay tuned because I don't know if you've heard, but there was an arrest in the Delphi murders.
Yes.
And Jennifer's going to wait till some more information comes out, and then she's going to give us an update on it. So if you haven't heard about it,
first of all, come on now.
Get out from under the rock.
For real.
If you don't know what we're talking about, kickback episode, I don't know what number, Delphi murders. But Jennifer's going to give us an update. That is got to be the saddest case we've ever talked about on here.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we hardly made any jokes after that one. And
yeah.
Yeah.
That was a painful one. That one still sits with me to this day. It's still really, really.
The photos of the girls. I see both their faces.
Well, and I just think about like an instance where like if Camilla and Emma were that age and they're like, we want to walk down to the park, and we were like, okay, because we would trust them to be together. We would trust that,
Yeah.
And it wasn't that they did anything wrong. It just really like that one just stuck with me. But you guys stay tuned whenever Jennifer has more information and the strength to.
Well, I'm just saying.
Write us up an update on it.
It is a burden that I am willing to bear for you guys.
I hate you so much. Oh, God. I don't know what to do with her, y'all.
Oh, and just as a little bit of a heads up, we're going to have another part to this story. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk about a sexy cryptid.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly do the Delphi update. And then we're going to take a small break before we head into season 2. I work retail, guys. It's rough. I'm out here fighting for my life. But
you are.
I am. Just slinging boots. Woo, Lord.
And I'm starting a new job, too, with the new schedule.
I mean, but she's a boss-ass bitch. I'm going to say everybody need to be congratulating this woman. She has worked her ass off as long as I've known you, okay? You know how I say, I've never known you to be wrong? I ain't never known you to be lazy.
Oh, okay? Thank you. That means more than anything.
Yeah, you are smart as fuck. Like, she literally, because she's a nurse, I'll be like, ask her a question that's a health related, and she'll tell me, and I'm like, all right, I believe you. You know what you're doing. I've seen you how you study. I ain't arguing.
See, that's what you do. Girls supporting girls here.
Exactly. Strong, fucking women.
Yes.
And that's what our girls are going to be.
Exactly.
They're both going to be carrying shivs.
I mean, same for you. Jennifer went from just slinging boots to slinging boots and managing folks, too.
I mean, I don't know how they trusted me.
Before too long, she's going to kick the CEO out.
Right. I'm taking this bitch over. We take it at dawn.
We're both making big strides in life. And then doing this is like
the cherry on the top. It's our favorite thing.
And it's growing. And that is a blessing. I mean, we've had some more reviews, some more comments from people. And I can't tell y'all, like, we have a little group message and it literally I cannot emphasize enough how it makes me and Jennifer feel to read your comments and your reviews. Like,
it's
legit.
A very rare thing in life that you really enjoy something and you do it so well that people enjoy it as well. That it never feels like work. And we have a lot of friends and relatives and coworkers that have been so supportive, and I love them to death. But it's so crazy even now when we meet somebody. I've met somebody at the doctor's office that knew about my podcast, and she realized it was my podcast. And never in a million years did I think that would ever happen to me.
Yeah, it's very surreal.
I don't know how I deserved it.
No.
Oh, wait. We're angels. I forgot. God, of course.
I still can't get over when people talk about that we're hilarious, because I think we're hilarious. And I can't wait till tomorrow when we go out for my birthday, because my tummy's going to hurt so much from laughing.
It will. There is never a moment that we're not bringing some humor, and the perfect vibe that we have. We always catching that vibe, we go riff back and forth, and there go JJ and Jimmy just like, oh, God, I'm so lucky. As they should be saying.
We catch them all the time sitting in the corner doing prayers together, thanking God for us. And we're like, boys, stop enough. You thank God enough today for us.
Embarrassing me.
You thanked him enough today.
Well, if you haven't already found us on socials, definitely give us a follow. We'll keep you up to date on when the season ends and when we're going to be picking back up. I can't wait for next season. I know that we have some stories in mind that are going to be fucking amazing.
Yes.
If you want some merch, we really need to come out with some Acorn merch.
We do.
I was telling Becky I put my fall decorations out, and I bought so many Acorn things.
God, when I listened to that episode, I was dying laughing. I forgot how funny we can be.
Sometimes I think we're podcasting for us, because I cannot wait to hear our episodes. Yes. I'm like, Jimmy, can you send me a link, or do I have to wait for it to go live? So find some merch if you would like some, and whatever platform you're listening to, if you could do us a solid and rate and subscribe, tell us how you feel. Please make it good. I mean,
I'm here for the constructive criticism.
Yes,
too.
yes. We'll drop that in my DM for sure. If
it's nice, don't be rude.
Don't be rude.
There's no reason to be rude.
Definitely help a gal out if I get something wrong, because I want to make sure that everybody's aligned.
But don't be rude. There's no need for that.
There's no need.
We're only rude to serial killers.
Exactly.
Okay.
Till next time.
Stay safe.
Keep your head on a swivel.
Don't bring it so close to home. You got a whole bunch of family drama in one family, like the Stayner family, but it's not really their fault.
And not their fault, but I'm just going to say that was a very unfortunate lottery.
Oh, God. And a tiny town and a tiny family. Because wait till you hear about Carrie. Oh, Jesus.
Bye. If you enjoyed this episode of Too Close to Home, don't forget to rate and subscribe to us on most platforms. Follow us on our social media at Too Close Home Pod on Facebook, at Too Close Podcast on Instagram, or if you have your own Too Close to Home experience, shoot us your story at tooclosetohome@yahoo.com. Thanks for listening.